What's up, guys? So today I thought I'd do a video about the 10 foods that I think most tourists probably don't know about in the Philippines. Before I went there, I'd never heard of any of these dishes. So these are 10 dishes that I can personally recommend because I feel like the Pinoy food does get a bad rep and there is some fantastic foods out there. So yeah, these are the ones I've tried. And these are the ones I recommend, and I think some of them are actually really tasty. This video is basically for tourists that don't have any idea about the Filipino food, and these are the ones I can personally recommend, as I'm quite adventurous with eating, and you'll find out by the first one that I can kind of recommend. It's a bit of a controversial one, and it's not balut, by the way. It's not the duck embryo egg. Let's jump in with number one, no particular order. Soup number 5. So you're probably thinking, what is soup number 5? It's basically balls penis soup. Now, obviously, this is not going to be for everyone, but do you know what? It was actually really tasty. Had a really good broth to it, a really deep sort of stew, beef sort of flavour, and apparently it's an aphrodisiac. So yeah, I thought, right, day 2 in the Philippines, let's go and get some soup number 5. A few of these things I have actually got on my video, so I'll link them in the description so you can watch me eat some of them, basically. Some of them I didn't film, but yeah, soup number 5 was actually really tasty, and if you've got the, no pun intended, if you've got the balls to try it, it is actually quite tasty. So that's number 1. Number 2, beef pares. Again, this is kind of similar to soup number 5. So if you're not feeling that adventurous and you don't want to put butt and balls in your mouth, because that's what it actually said on the menu, butt and balls. So yeah, beef pares, kind of similar in a way. It's like a beef stew. They even had these little dumplings they put in it. And the place that I went, it actually had some spring rolls of it as well. And it even had a big chunk of bone marrow like that. And I said, oh, can I try the bone marrow? So yeah, he gave me a big chunk of bone, scooped out the bone marrow. And again, it was really delicious. It was a rainy day, really like sort of warmed me up, made me feel really good, nice and light. Had a bit of rice with it. I mean, I can't eat too much rice, but yeah. So number 2, beef pares. Really good little local street vendor. I've seen that a few places actually, so that's probably one of the most common street foods, I would say. And yeah, I can highly recommend that. It's actually really delicious. Number 3, I was going to do 2, but number 3, kare. Or if you want to say it in an English accent, you probably say curry, but it's spelled Kare, and then the same again, so kare. So yeah, again, this one, I think it's actually made with like a peanut sauce, and you get big chunks of pak choy in it. I can't remember if I think it was a beef kare. Yeah, again, really nice peanut sauce, good meat that's like, you know, falling apart because it's been cooked for quite a long time. And they give you like a shrimp paste with it. That stuff's lethal, so I'd only recommend a tiny bit of shrimp paste. Otherwise, that can sort of make it very salty, very fermented. But kare, I think that's a really good one as well. You can find that in a lot of restaurants. If you go to a Filipino restaurant, kare, that will probably be on the menu, to be honest with you. Number 4, arroz caldo. So from what I've seen from this one, you normally go in a place and it's like a rice porridge. They put crispy onions, spring onions, they put chicken, beef in it. That is really good actually. So arroz caldo, yeah. Highly recommend that one. Whenever I've had that, yeah, never disappointed. Always really tasty, fills you up. Nice cheap meal. Now, number 5. This isn't really a Filipino dish as such, but when I went to Davao, I didn't realise that, you know, the Mindanao region, they specialise in, well, I say tuna. If you're an American, tuna. So yeah, we heard that the tuna is really good. Looked up a interesting tuna place. I thought, okay. I didn't have like massive expectations. I didn't really know what to expect, but I heard it was good. I thought I'd just get like a tuna steak or something. They actually had the towel of a yellow finned tuna, I think it was. And yeah, it was on the bone, it being grilled, I'm guessing, for quite a long time. Never had tuna like that before in my life. It was on the bone, it fell off, the bone was about this wide. Like, I couldn't believe the size of it. It had like a beautiful fat inside it as well, which I didn't know. I didn't even know tuna had any fat on it, really. But yeah, I was actually really surprised at how good that was. That whole restaurant in Davao where I went, can't remember the name of it, but oh my God, it was actually really, really high end, you know, like really simple, cheap place. And the tuna, oh my God, yeah. If you're ever in the Davao, Mindanao region, 100% get some tuna. Absolutely, like the best tuna I've ever had. So I think this next one is seasonal. Let's see if I can pronounce it. Puto Bumbong. Okay, I'm not sure if I've pronounced that correctly, but Puto Bumbong, okay? It's basically like a purple rice cake. It's basically, this is very, very unusual, by the way, and this is very, very unusual, the way they put this together. I didn't think it was actually going to be very tasty, but, you know, always try something. So it's a purple rice cake. I think they put condensed milk on it and then cheese on top. That's why I was a bit like, well, a cake with actual cheese. And they said, yeah, it's 4 for 80 pesos or something. I said, well, I only want one, but I'll just give you the 80 pesos because I literally cannot eat 4 of these because they were quite big. And I was really surprised. Like, I couldn't believe that combination of flavours actually worked. Rice cake, condensed milk and cheese. Sounds terrible. Tastes really, really good. Yeah, I was really surprised by that. But seriously, Puto Bumbong. If you're in the Philippines, I think it's around Christmas time that these are normally on street foods. Definitely try that one. It might not be for everyone, but for me, the flavours actually worked. So there we go, guys. The next one, gising gising, which means wake up, wake up. And I understand why it's called that. So basically, I think this was like, again, like a bit of a stewed meat. Had these green beans in it. And it was actually quite spicy, which most Filipino foods isn't really heavily on chilies and stuff. So this one was a really good surprise. Yeah, it did wake me up a little bit, actually. Again, really, really delicious. Just had it with some barbecued meats and a big tub of that. It wasn't that cheap, as you can see in the video, if you can find it. That was in the BGC area. I think I basically bought a massive portion that was enough for 2 or 3 people. That's why it wasn't very cheap, but I really, really like that one. So yeah, gising gisang, gising gising, or wake up, wake up. Yeah, recommend that one. That had a nice kick to it. The beans were really nice. The meat was really good. Yeah, and it was really good with the barbecued skewers that I had as well. So yeah, really, really nice. Next one, this is a common one that you'd find in most Pinoy restaurants, I think. It's called Bicol Express. And again, it's like chicken. It's like meat. I think it's normally chicken. It's cooked in coconut milk. I think it's got quite a sort of peppery taste over it. And yeah, Bicol Express, another one that I really enjoyed. Next one, I had this in Cebu. This was on a side dish of the famous lechon, the barbecued pork. And this one, I don't know if I can pronounce it again. Very hard for me to pronounce Filipino words. Dinuguan, which is like, I probably sound ridiculous. Let me try and do it in a Filipino accent. Dinuguan. Oh, dinuguan. Dinuguan. That's my impression of a Filipino accent, by the way. Terrible, terrible. Dinuguan, which was basically like a pig's blood soup, I guess, or stew again. There's a lot of stews in this top 10. But yeah, blood of the pig. It's a very dark looking dish. It almost reminded me of like an oxtail soup or something. And then yeah, I put that on my rice, and then I had my crispy pork lechon. I was very happy. That was really, really delicious. Next one, kinilaw. So this is actually, as long as it's done well, I've had some good ones, I've had some bad ones, but the good ones that I've had, absolutely stunning. It's basically raw fish, I think it is, raw tuna normally, or tuna. Raw tuna mixed in with all this like fresh cucumber. It's got like a high sort of vinegar sort of taste over it. Obviously it's cooking the fish. But always that one always stood out to me as well. So kinilaw. Let's just look up exactly what kinilaw is, because I can't remember, but I remember it was very good. But basically, it almost reminded like a little bit like a Thai dish actually, because you had the raw fish, you had like onions, I think you get beans in it, you get tomatoes, so it's almost similar kind of to a bit like a somtam or something like that, but without the papaya. So yeah, kinilaw, chilies, I think sometimes you get vegetables, sometimes you get like cucumber, tomatoes. It's basically like a salad, but with seafood, like normally like a raw seafood. The ones that I think I had was like raw tuna, and yeah, it was really nice. It is a very vinegary sort of based flavour, but the freshness of the meats and all the cucumbers and the chilies and stuff, it was really tasty. So anyway guys, I hope if you're coming to the Philippines and you want to try some different dishes, you know, these are the, I mean, I could have put, you know, all the ones that people have probably heard of. For example, sisig, lechon, all this sort of stuff. But I thought these are 10 dishes that maybe tourists haven't even tried or even heard of some of them. Like soup number 5. Would you try it? Let me know. Gising, really tasty, nice and spicy as well. The pig's blood soup with your lechon, really good. Puto bonbon. Again, that's a seasonal one, I think. I think it's only at Christmas time. Didn't think it was going to be good. It was actually really tasty. I was really happy to eat that. And world-class tuna, I would say. If you're definitely in the Philippines and you can find a good tuna restaurant, get the most expensive, most, you know, the biggest bit you can on the bone or whatever. And I think you're going to be quite surprised. Beef Perez, wet, horrible day. Soaking wet, that warmed me up, that was really good. Curry, be careful with the shrimp paste, because that is potent as hell. That is really strong, the fermented shrimp paste it is. Yeah, be careful with that one. Bicol Express, you probably find that in most restaurants, that's quite a common one. And I think that's it, Arroz Caldo. I've actually got some in my cupboard. I went to a Filipino store the other week. I bought some. Again, nice, hearty, warms you up. Nice comfort food. Quite simple, but again, very delicious. There's more I could put on this dish, by the way, as well. Like lomi and mami. Some of them are really good. Almost like a version of... I went to a place called Bel Air, which was like a beach town. Apocalypse Now was filmed there. Really cool little beach town. I had some lomi there, I think it was. Really good. It almost reminded me like a Filipino ramen or something. Had the noodles, it had the broth, it had, you know, the good meats. Had condiments to put on it. Again, really, really good. So yeah, I feel like the Filipinos' food does get a bit of a bad rep. And I can honestly say I enjoyed all of these ones. Yeah, there's a good selection. I would say the only thing I would say is quite a lot of these foods are probably more restaurant based. They're not like, there's not loads and loads of street food. That's the only downside really. Another thing that the Filipinos do incredibly well is barbecued food. So I wouldn't necessarily say that is, you know, you couldn't say, oh, that's a Pinoy dish. But if you go to a proper good barbecue place in the Philippines, it's really cheap, good atmosphere, everyone's just eating, laughing, having a few beers, really good. So yeah, if you can find a big proper old school barbecue place, some of them are really, really good. Some of them not so good, some of them fantastic. So yeah. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I hope this is giving you some ideas of foods to try. And yeah, I'll catch you soon. Take care from Mr. Mark.